Mike Swift, I got to tell you, I hate Windows
Why is that, Stephen Lewis?
because the worst thing you can possibly see is the message that your computer is going to restart and you can't stop it because you know if it's Windows, it takes forever for your ish to boot back up. It's so frustrating.
Mm-hmm. I've been there. Yeah, I mean, I get the updates, but why do I have to get an entire new interface? So just because, I don't know. I don't like it.
And they've made what's drove me crazy about Windows. Somebody somewhere needs punched in the mouth because they thought it would be cool if your desktop operated the way your phone operates. I want my desktop to operate the way my desktop operates, and I want my phone to operate the way my phone operates. Because if
Yeah,
I
that makes sense.
now that my annoyance is out of the way, let's get into this. Oh,
Grievances, grievances filed.
absolutely. Hey, Bill Gates, F you. so,
What did Bill do to you? Like, what did Bill really do to you?
and Microsoft.
Okay, all right, that checks. That checks.
Thank you.
I feel you.
He's Mike Swift. I'm Stephen Lewis. And even if there weren't anything to bitch about, I would find it.
He always does.
I am the Prince of Petty. But nonetheless, this is what's on your mind for what day is it? Oh, yeah, we're after Labor Day. The official start to summer has begun.
Yeah.
So, or
Yeah.
we're after Memorial Day, excuse me. The official,
Right.
the official start to summer has begun. So, what's on your mind this week to start things off? Speedos?
Uh,
Speedo to break in the new pool season?
Now the only way that you could possibly say that is if that was on your mind.
Well, I mean, I'm getting a new Speedo to break in the new pool season. So, I just wanted to see if anybody was on the same page that I was.
Thank you for the fair warning.
I go with black because it's swimming.
Okay. All right. Thank
yeah.
you
You're
for
welcome.
that
Don't worry,
instant visual.
I'll send you pictures.
No, no, not necessary. There are some things
What
that
do you think of
just.
this one? It's European.
And on that note, I am done. My name is Mike Swift, and I'm signing off. Uh, well, what's on my mind? I went back and forth on whether or not I was going to talk about this just because, for one, I didn't want to beat the health drum once again for another episode.
sure.
But I've had people ask what ended up being wrong with me, as was talking about the fact that a solution wasn't or a diagnosis rather wasn't appearing in sight anywhere. So I did want to talk about it just a little bit, and just kind of touch on what I was going through in comparison what that diagnosis was. Through all the testing and poking and prodding and everything else, it appears that my situation was I was in a deep depression or am in a deep depression, um, to the point where it is affecting my body physically. Um, Not so much now that I've gotten some help and gotten some medication, but the fact that I never thought in a million years that something affecting you mentally could dehabilitate you physically the way it did with me. And it's 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 been scary for me going through this because all the while I thought there were bigger and deeper things wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary to go through.
Sure it is.
And what's on my mind is, I guess, once again, sounding the alarm for people out there that are going through things that your body maybe even giving you warning signs that things might not be so happy, to reach out, get help. 988 or yeah, 988 is the mental health hotline. You can always get you can always talk to someone and also get find ways of getting help within your area. Um, and that's important. That's important. And to I guess repeat the same line that it's okay to not be okay. And I think in a way I kind of forgot that, and I kind of let that, you know, I put that part of me on the shelf,
Sure.
thinking that, hey, I can deal with this. I compartmentalize, I guess, to an extent, even with my own feelings and emotions. And I guess that's just not the way to go.
I
Because
think no, I think the mental game is a real thing. And I think people for the longest time didn't want to diagnose it, especially where men are concerned. And
exactly.
I think with men, you're just expected to rub some dirt on it and get back in the game.
And
And
especially, I have to add on, especially with black men,
sure,
we just don't talk about our mental health.
no, but I don't think you want. I mean, I don't think you want. It's hard to talk about your mental health, and I mean, who knows? I mean, I could be very well depressed and not realize it. I mean, I know that I've seen some dark places in the last couple of years, especially. I mean, but I guess it's kind of funny because I had like you, I had a therapist that I really liked when I was in Michigan, and she helped me deal with a lot of anger that I was carrying around. And at the time, it was probably beneficial to the relationship that I was in. Fast forward to a couple of years ago, you know, when you have when your life falls apart essentially in every aspect of it. Um, I'm stubborn and I'm like, I don't need someone to tell me, I don't need someone to tell me what's wrong. I know what's wrong. The home,
Hmm.
the home and family I thought I had decided they didn't want me anymore, and that's gone. My job that I lost lied to me, lied to my face for the better part of 6 fucking months, and that's gone. I don't need a therapist to talk to about that. But I also think that, once that anger subsides, not saying that mine has by any stretch of the imagination, but
Don't sound angry at all.
but uh but once that subsides, I think it's very good because I think you see yourself starting to get into a funk. And with you, I could see it because being
Hmm.
around you all the time, I'm like, dude, you're not you. Like you're being, and it's just little things and little nuances and
Hmm.
everything. But it's tough to diagnose that, and it's also very tough to deal with the diagnosis because when it comes to the mental game, you can't just flip a switch and turn everything back to the way it was.
Right.
Oh, now I know what's wrong with
Right.
me. Flip that switch and I'm right back to who I used to be. It doesn't work that
Right.
it doesn't work that way. And I think that's what's frustrating. And I think that might be why people don't always want to get help because a lot of times that can turn into drugs. Hey, you got to take a certain drug
Hmm.
so you feel this way. Then you got to take a certain drug so you can feel this way. And a lot of people don't want to go down that road. And I understand. I get the why I get the why that you don't want to go down that road. Like it makes very much sense to me. You
I
know.
was very adamantly against taking any type of prescription. Um, but my psychiatrist um really, she kind of, I guess she kind of talked me into it. Because I was not, I kept saying over and over, I do not want to take any type of drug.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was hard for me
Yeah.
to take that leap. And I'm still just kind of, getting used to the medication I was put on. Um, Thankfully, there are no known side effects with the medication I was put on, so that kind of eased my worry a little bit. I guess it kind of tipped the scale in the favor of at least trying this, knowing
Yeah.
that I could stop tomorrow and not feel like I'm gonna, you know, fall apart mentally.
Right.
But I know again, it's one of those things where I never thought that this would be something that would affect physically your physical side of things. I was talking to a relative about everything, and their immediate reaction was, well, you don't seem, or you haven't seemed or looked depressed.
Is there a look
And
to it? Because I'm a
that's
believer.
what I was getting at, because
Because I'm a,
that's a stigma.
yeah, I'm a believer that you can be depressed and not and look just fine. People, I think
Hmm.
people have this stigma that if you're depressed, you dress in all black and you hide your face and you mope around and you go to coffee bars and drink copious amounts of coffee. Like there's just a lot of. I think you can walk around depressed looking like you do every other day, and
Depressed, or the emo kids that I went to school with.
that too. You know, that's very possible too. But no,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't think there's a look. I think it's not the look, it's the mannerisms.
it's you're absolutely right, because you can look okay on the outside and just be a huge freaking mess on the inside.
Yeah,
I don't think, or at least I didn't think, the that I was that bad. Of course, everybody has stress. I'm living with stress on myself, but I didn't think it was affecting me the way that it was.
sure.
And
Stress is a killer.
mhm. And I just want to keep pointing back to the fact that I thought I was fine. Like, I
Right.
thought I was dealing. I thought I was okay. And I had little hints from my body letting me know that things weren't okay. And I either brushed them off and ignored them, or figured it was something else.
Yeah.
Um, and the last stigma that I want to bring up, because it was the immediate next thing that that person said to me, was, well, you gotta, what did they say? Well, I guess you just gotta brush it off and move on. And it's like, what? But that's what got me here.
Right.
Brushing it off and pretending I was okay, or at least not admitting to myself that I wasn't okay, was exactly what got me in the place that I'm in now.
I wasn't the person that gave you this advice, was I?
No,
Okay.
that was not you.
I didn't
I
think
said
I
a
was.
relative.
Didn't think it was, but with my current situation and my brain fog, I'm like, did I at some point in time tell him to rub some dirt on it and move on?
You did tell me to man up one day, but uh, I think that was before we knew that this was mental, I
I think I
believe.
told you to man up because I wanted you to go to the doctor. I remember that. I think I
I
wanted I think I
Yeah,
wanted you to go
maybe
to the
that's what it
doctor
was.
because I think you were talking to me and I'm like, I can't make you a doctor's appointment. Like you
Yeah, well, I remember that
yeah,
conversation,
I'm like,
but
you have to do that yourself. So
yeah.
I
And again, and I wasn't mad. I like even I and even with that relative, I wasn't mad at them
no,
um for saying that, because I truly believe that those things were said
you know,
meaning to be in a good from a good place.
what started it for me, and I never used to be. I don't think I was the most judgmental person in the world, but I think I was judgmental to the point where I would make jokes at other people's expense for a while. And I mean that
Hmm.
in the sense of, you know, the person that was doing the job that I would never do. Like I would make a joke at their expense or whatever.
Right.
And I remember during the pandemic, when it first started, I remember sitting in the I remember sitting in my apartment by myself in Indianapolis because I was away from the family at the time,
Hmm.
and everything was shut down. And I was watching the news, and I don't know if you remember during the pandemic, there were people that when jobs started shutting down, all of a sudden people were like who had never been to food banks ever started going to food banks. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw an interview with a mom from Indianapolis, and she had her kids in the car, and the kids were asking her mommy why they can't just go to the grocery store, why they had to be at a food bank. And what it dawned on me was they had a really good job and were doing okay. And all of a sudden, that job went away.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you find yourself in places. The thing that drives me crazy is everybody who like is so in love with millionaires. Let me just tell somebody, you're 2 months away. Most of us are 2 months away from needing SNAP benefits or being homeless, more so than we are 2 months away from being a fucking billionaire. And like why people don't understand that drives me crazy. And then it didn't dawn on me until I lost a job that paid me a lot of money. And all of a sudden, I was realizing that when I was making a lot of money, I was living within my means. But what happened was when that salary gets cut in half, everything that I was doing was based on the money I was making at the time. So my car payment was based
Mm-hmm.
on that. My expenses
Mm-hmm.
were based on that. When all of a sudden you don't have as much money coming in, like that creates a lot of stress. And all of a sudden that creates, you get this feeling of you're worthless now. You get this feeling of how did I find myself in this position? And sometimes
Yep.
it's your fault. And sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes you play a part in it. Sometimes other things, forces play God with your life. But what it made me realize is I started becoming interested in people's stories and what got people to where they are in life. Because you look at someone and go, and I'm just using this as an example, there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
against anybody. I'm like, you're, at least 45 years old. Did you always have the dream to be the person that works behind the counter at an ice cream store? Like, I mean, you just kind of wonder, what when you were 9, what were your aspirations? What did you want to do? And then I'm curious about how that story got you to where you are now. I mean, there are a lot of people that had their battles with drugs and alcohol and they're trying to recover their lives and do whatever. You had the other battle that, hey, I know people who weren't allowed to work because their husbands wanted them to take care of everything. And then that marriage came to an end. And it was one thing when you weren't working at 20, it's another thing when you're not working at 40.
Right. Right.
And
I
it's
mean,
just, so I
you just
started,
don't.
you
I'm
don't
sorry. Go ahead.
know. But what I was getting at is you don't know. And I've stepped back a lot and watched people, and I'm like, just because they're not necessarily where I would like to be personally doesn't mean that I know what got them to where they are. And I've become more inclined now to smile at random strangers because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Even the people that on the outside look like they have everything perfect and everything together. Like I know people in the pandemic that they sunk everything they had into a local bar that they were super excited to open. And then when everything shut down, they didn't have another $400,000 laying around to, stay open or reinvest or do whatever. And you never know, like even people that might be what you perceive to be well to do, you don't know what's going on behind those closed doors and what their struggles like.
Yep.
And all of it, the one thing that is equal is stress. If you're feeling stressed, I mean, the cause of the stress might be different, but the effect of the
Right.
stress is very much equal. So you just kind of, you never know what goes on behind people. So I think I'd like to think that I've become far less judgmental now than I probably would have been 6 years ago. But, you never know. Like, I mean,
I don't think. Well, being somebody who is experiencing their own behavioral health issues, um, I didn't think that. I guess there was just a lot of possibilities that I didn't take into consideration on how your mental health can affect you and everyone else around you and your entire environment
yeah,
all at once.
sure.
And um, it's been it's been a learning curve for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to understand the amount of stress that someone can be under, and uh, see what just happened, and we hopefully successfully edited out, was a complete mental breakdown that I just had in the middle of
The thought.
completing a thought. Yeah.
No,
I
you were saying
completely.
that it caused you to take a different kind of look at yourself and kind
Mhm.
of the way you were, the things that you were doing and the things that you had to start doing, and it just caused you to look. Your perception changed. Is
It
basically.
did.
Now I don't know where you were going, but that's where you started.
I apparently didn't know where I was going with that either.
You know,
Um, my
some
therapist
people get
did point
GPS,
out
some people have to learn to read a road atlas.
exactly. My therapist um pointed out before things really started breaking down. He said, I'm really starting to see. I think what he said is like, I see you. I'm starting to see you fall apart, or something along those lines. And my reaction even then was like, yeah, okay, whatever, man. I'm good. I'm here. I'm functioning. I I I am doing everything I can to not let the things going on in my life affect me. I'm good. And you know, you obviously started to see issues too.
Yeah.
And even then, in at least in on a mental plane, I kept telling myself, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's to just kind of wrap it all up on my what's on my mind. Just never thought that your behavioral health can play such a strong role in your physical health. And just when you think it wouldn't or couldn't, it'll happen, and it'll completely blindside and sideline you.
Sure.
So just, if this convinces one person, I'd be happy, honestly. If you're feeling something just in the slightest, get help.
Yeah, I think and don't be afraid to get help is the other thing.
Yes, and I'll admit, I was afraid to get help myself, I have to admit, am so much happier that I did when I did. Um, I didn't think I would be as happy as I was to get help, but here we are.
But I think the important thing is that you took the step to get help and figure out what's going on. I mean, the other thing is I'm a big advocate of time. The longer you don't know what's going on, the more time you waste. And it's the one thing that all the money in the world can't buy more of. So,
Hmm.
you know, it's interesting because you talked about feeling, and that's kind of what my what's on your mind is today. It's about feeling and about how certain things. I posted my Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu review, and I kind of touched on this a little bit last week. Like, fanboys drive me crazy. And I think in this world, and we've touched on it a bunch of times, everything you do online is about hate and about negativity and about normally cutting something down. And I think, especially with movies now, there's something about going to a theater to see a movie that has a different feel to it when you see it that first time in a theater. And I think, like, I'm a big advocate of movies and theaters, and I always have been, because like it's about what movies do that cause an emotion in you and they give you a feeling. I'll give you some examples that have happened over the course of, I mean, your dogs are named Rocky and Apollo.
Hmm.
So you like the Rocky series, correct? Is that a safe assumption to say?
I mean, yes, yes. I mean, the way my dogs ended up that way. My kid's named Rocky,
Sure.
and when we first got him, and later on down the road, when we were considering another dog, I was bound to get a female. And I said, "Oh my God, if we get a female, I'm gonna name her Adrian." And we ended up with a male,
Okay.
and
So,
that's how we ended up with Apollo.
but what I'm saying is, let's take a movie in the Rocky franchise, Rocky Five,
Okay.
for example. Rocky
Okay.
Five, for example, or yeah, not the favorite by anybody's standpoint. That's the one with
No.
Tommy Morrison where the end is a street fight. But I would argue with you, Mike Swift, that that ending street fight will make you feel a certain way. Because think about it for a second. At the end, Rocky is going toe to toe with this guy. Boom, boom. All of a sudden, he's getting hit. He's knocking down. You know he's got a head. You know he's got a head thing. So you hear Mickey's voice in the background, and he's like, he's like, get up, and he's like, still going. He's like, get up, and then you think
Because
he's
Mickey
not
loves you.
exactly get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you, and then you see him, dun, 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 and all of a sudden, one more round. And all of a sudden, you've got goosebumps. I have goosebumps just talking about it because you know what that feeling is. As soon as
Mhm.
he says it, I didn't hear no bell. You know what I mean? That gives you the feeling. The other thing, and this made me cry like a baby. If you watch the end of Avengers Endgame, and I love this moment because you see Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man go after Thanos, just the three of them, the big three, if you will. And
Mhm.
Thanos, despite the fact that Captain America catches the hammer and starts going off on him, for the most part, the shield gets broken and Thanos wipes the floor with all of them. And you
Right.
see him say, you know what, I'm going to take joy in demolishing your world or whatever. And you see Cap get up. And I never noticed this on the first watch, but he's actually got a broken arm that he used the shield strap of the broken shield to essentially pull it back into place so he could use the broken
Really?
arm. He is by far, arguably, just a normal guy with super soldier strength or whatever. He stands up and he faces an entire army by himself. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear, hey, Cap, on your left. And you watch everybody come through the portal. And like all of a sudden, you're like, oh man, he's not alone now. Oh, you see all these people come back that had been phased out of existence. Now they come back and they're all standing there with him. But if they wouldn't have, broken arm and all, he'd have stared down every one of them and kept going until he couldn't
Mhm.
go anymore. And it invokes that emotion in you. And you see it, I'll throw one out there for the ladies at the end of Pretty Woman when he comes back in the limo or whatever, and you see that reuniting or whatever. It's meant to have this experience to take you out of your current situation and make you feel a certain way that you wouldn't necessarily feel any other time. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
And you can take any movie. I can give you 1,000 examples. Top Gun Maverick, when they're out of missiles at the end and there's one more
Mhm.
plane coming up on him, and he's like, I can't eject. And he's like, I'm sorry, Goose. I'm sorry, Goose. And all of a sudden you see the other plane blow up and he's like, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your savior speaking. And you're like, oh shit, that asshole just saved them.
Yep.
You
Yep.
get that, you get that feeling. That's what it's supposed to do. And why we live in a world now where if you don't like something, whether it be a movie or whatever, your first instinct is just to cut it down and rip it apart before anybody else has gotten to see it and draw their own conclusion. And here's how: if you take the online, like, I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I wish Rotten Tomatoes would die 1,000 deaths because it just, you have all these people that just go out there, oh, that sucks, that sucks. Let people judge what sucks for themselves, because we all have a movie or a song or a book or something that everybody else loves, but you might hate. And by the same token, there might be a song that was absolutely garbage to the majority of people, but you yourself love it. And you're not wrong for liking it, but it's just like, what happened to letting everybody draw their own conclusions so they can feel that certain way without somebody immediately just trashing it altogether? Because again, if something's not going to be, if something's going to be entertainment wise is going to be garbage, it won't sell. Nobody will go see it. And after a couple of weeks, it'll be gone. Instead of like on the first day, like I watch these people, there's not even the Star Wars theme in The Mandalorian. Hi, douchebag. Have you watched any of the show? that's been on Netflix for 6 years now, 7 years now. The Star Wars theme is not in any of them. So why would you think it would be in the movie? Like, it's just, it just drives me crazy that, like, as soon as something is out there, like, you have to cut it down before you. I think we're missing out by not feeling that certain way. We both watched this because we did a show. Rachel Platten's fight song has become an anthem for breast cancer survivors. So you see anybody who's got the pink ribbon when that song plays, they feel a certain way when that song starts. You know, it's one of those things where I feel like the technology in our world is slowly robbing us of being able to take ourselves out of that world and feel a certain way for a minute, whether that be better or whether that be worse, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm a baby. I still cry every time I hear him chanting Rudy before Rudy gets a sack, even though I know that's not how that happened in the real life.
Right.
Of Rudy.
Did not happen that way in his real life.
But it still does. And you know what? You know what really brings me to tears? When Bruce Willis takes Ben Affleck's place at the end of Armageddon and gives him that speech and says, it's your job to take care of my Gracie now. And then when he tells her that he's going to have to break the promise because he's going to go up there and save the world by blowing up the asteroid. Like, I cry like a baby when that stuff happens. And again, I would hate it if somebody would have cut that down before I got to feel that certain way about things. And I wish we could learn to, like, I feel like the internet now and social media, like, it's okay to keep your opinion to yourself. And boy, I sound strange saying that, but it really is. Like, you don't, I know. I know. Like,
you know,
at least
I'm going to leave that one alone.
At least for a while. You don't have to give your opinion about everything. Like, just certain things. Like, I don't give my opinion about everything. I just give my opinion about certain things. Not that that's,
I guess in a roundabout way, I kind of got that same feeling about the Goo Goo Dolls song, Iris.
Iris? Great song.
Great song, but it never made sense to me until I saw City of Angels. And I was like, oh my God, the tears shot out of my eyes instantly.
As you felt soon a certain way.
Yes. And I don't want to spoil it, even though that movie is years and years old. I don't want to spoil it, but the moment Meg Ryan comes over that hill on her bike, I'm like, oh my God. But that song never made sense to me. I mean, it was poetic in its own right, and it was a hit, but I'd heard that song for years and did not completely understand the meaning of that song.
Because I give up forever to touch you because I know that you feel me somehow. It's because he was an angel and he knew that she could feel him, but she could never. Yeah, the lyrics are go with the movie, but I never looked at that song as anything more than a song about a movie. Like, it was cool and everything until there was a random parking lot, because at the end of the lyric, and I'm going to use my brain, the end of the movie or the song lyrics, like, it never really got to me because I always knew that it was from City of Angels, so I knew what he was saying. But it wasn't until a parking lot, and I swear to God this is true, it wasn't until a parking lot in Michigan, and I went home one night and the lyrics just, like, resonated into my head. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't want to go home right now. Like, it just dawned on, because all of a sudden I was like, I was so encompassed in someone that, like, I didn't want to leave that someone at the time.
Right.
And it's like, that's exactly my point. Like, my point is, like, stuff, especially from an entertainment standpoint, is meant for you to feel a certain way. And everybody's certain way is different, and that's completely okay. But I feel like some people are going to, the more and more as we progress in the technological world that we live in, that's going to go away because we start cutting things down and people don't want to go do things anymore. And even like not the emotional thing. I remember the first time I went and saw Boys in the Hood. Like I was in a theater and when the song came on, I know Boys in the Hood. Like I love that song. I started doing the same lyrics too. And the guy next to me, like you had the whole audience that was kind of like singing along and rapping along at the same time. And you bonded with people. You know, I'm sure the same thing probably happened when I saw Michael and I just don't remember it. But the same thing happens. You have those moments in like crowds where you can see their reaction to the crowd. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can YouTube crowd reactions to certain things in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember,
Well,
go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead with your thought.
But
Complete.
like being in the crowd, like I'll go back to Avengers Endgame, and our friend Chris Lutz was sitting right next to me when it happened because he was at my screening with me. When
Mm-hmm.
Cap catches the hammer, my first words in the crowd, and I was loud, I was like, "Fuck him up, Cap!" Like it was just, because like it evokes that emotion. And when you're around other people, it's no different than being at a concert. It's no different at being someplace else. And I hate to see that go away because you don't like something. So since I don't like it, and since I think it's garbage, I'm going to write a scathing review right away and comment on someone. I mean, just if something pops up, scroll down somebody's Facebook post. I did it last week when I was talking about um, Mandalorian. The first 5 things are negative. And it's just like stuff like that. Like, why do you have to, like, just because you can get online and be connected to people doesn't mean you have to spew venom if you don't like something, and you don't have to cut something down if you don't like it. And I would just challenge you to go have one of those experiences, and I promise you'll want to have one again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's on my mind.
You know,
I was trying to lighten it up because I don't want to get into my medical stuff, and you spent some plenty of time getting into yours, so I'm like, let's change the mood.
let's let's brighten the lights in the room just a little
Yes,
bit. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anything that you said. I think social media has really played a big part in how easy it is for society to rip things apart now. Before even with dealing with movies, you had some dude that was entrusted as the go-to for the word on whether or not something was good. Siskel and Ebert
Cisco Ebert.
were
Right.
two movie critics back in the day. I can't think of the name of the other guy, the guy with the bow tie. I can't think
I
of
know
his
who you're
name
talking
right
about. I
now.
can't think of his name. I know Siskel and Ebert, but for
But
sure.
but back then, those were trusted guys who were columnists at one point in time and kind of earned their way in the trust of the public to give you the authority on, hey, this movie's good, this movie's bad.
Gene,
Gene.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think his first name was Gene, and I can't
no,
think of.
Siskel's Gene. Leonard Maltin is the other guy, but it's Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert are the two. Are
Okay, wait, maybe I'm just mixing up yeah, because
yeah.
that name didn't match the face that I was. But
Leonard
anyway,
Maltin. Leonard Maltin used to be the guy that was on Entertainment Tonight in the '80s, and he was the movie critic for. I think you're thinking of Leonard
I
Maltin.
no, I think because this guy was I want to say for NBC. He
Okay.
was an NBC critic. But anyway, um, the these guys were people that were columnists for so many years and earned the trust of the public. So when they got in front of a TV camera and said, "Hey, this movie's good, go see it," the public trusted that because there was a single voice or at least a very few voices from that realm that were telling you to go see that movie.
Right.
And now in social media, you've got movie critics of all kinds, whether they be amateur or professional, and you've got to cut through all of those other opinions because there's just so many in the crowd now.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were even telling me at one point in time that you considered reviewing movies and you didn't because even that field is so saturated because of social media now.
It is. I mean, I had an opportunity to work for Screen Rant a few years ago, but it was one of those things where the way that works, you get paid on how many clicks you get. And I still contribute to like a couple of sites every now and again, but you get paid by how many, and that's what I didn't want to be stuck in, because it is so oversaturated, and not everybody, people cling to the people that they know right away, and they go trust their opinion, and they're done. People don't sit and go, I'm going to read 30 reviews before I go to the theater and buy a ticket for this movie. Like, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately,
it's not like when you're going to buy a new dishwasher for your home and you're reading all the different reviews.
Exactly. And I go back to, like I was saying, where I used to be far more judgmental. In fact, I remember joking with Tony Tilford about this. I'm like, there was a time when I was like, he's like, hey, how was because I covered Comic-Con for iHeart, and or Cincinnati Comic-Con, not San Diego Comic-Con. It's my dream to go to San Diego Comic-Con, but it hasn't happened yet. But I covered Cincinnati Comic-Con, and Tony Tilford was like, how was it like? I'm like, nothing like seeing a 350-pound dude shoved into a Deadpool costume. And like, this was a few years ago. But
it's you not judging, right?
Right. But here's what I'm getting at. But what I'm saying is, literally today, there was a dude that made a Cobra Commander suit from the old G.I. Joe cartoons, and he posted it online. He's like, what do you think of my Cobra Commander cosplay? And I liked it. You know why? Because my attitude has changed. Now I'm like, dude might be 300 pounds and got into a Cobra Commander costume, but do you know how much courage it took to post that picture? So like
the work that it took to probably make that
the costume, the courage it took to post that picture. I'm gonna give Homeboy a like. You know why? I'm not gonna cut him down for doing his thing. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. Like, I try to take a little bit of negativity out of the world, even though I'm not good at it, because I know I'm the Prince of Petty, and I realize
Prince of Petty. Yeah, buddy.
I am. But, but again, with certain things, I'm just like, don't ruin it for everybody else. There's enough things in this world that ruin it for everybody else. Don't add to that problem. It's the old adage. If you go out to a restaurant, you have the best dinner you ever had. You're not going to immediately go online and go, I had the best dinner I've ever had. But if you go to that same restaurant and the server doesn't refill your drink fast enough, or your food takes a little longer to get there, or, it's not as hot as you want it to be, you will go on your phone in the car on the way home and spew venom about how much shit that place is and why it should close down.
I was I was a customer service rep for Medicaid for about 2.5, almost 3 years. And in that time span, of course, every day I dealt with complaint calls, but I had one person call just to tell me how great their insurance was.
Did you hit on old ladies? Ethel!
No.
Look who's back! Got you a new oxygen tank.
Yeah, those calls are recorded for quality and training purposes, so it would have been very inappropriate.
Yeah, head over to the nursing home, do a little thunder sticking.
I'm sorry, thunder what? Wow.
Nope. Okay.
No.
We'll just chalk that up.
We're gonna go with a hard no on that one.
We'll just chalk that up as a missed opportunity.
I'm not even 100% sure what thunder sticking is, but we're gonna just go no, absolutely not.
Okay. Well, everybody has their own activities.
So. Where do you come up with these things? Like,
I don't know.
What are you are these cries for help? Or should I be?
It's funny. You're the one seeing a therapist, and I'm the one that needs years of therapy.
So. Probably do. My God.
It's okay.
Anyway. You start off with Speedo and then with thunder sticking.
Sometimes the two go hand in hand.
Neither of those were on my word bingo card for this episode, sir.
You learn something new every day. Go with black, it's slimming. Whatever. And if you're going to go with stripes, go with vertical stripes, not horizontal. Pro tip. It slims and elongates, if you know what I mean, and I think you do.
No, I don't. I'd ask you to elaborate, but I'd be scared.
See pictures on my OnlyFans, which you can
Thank-
still take advantage of the Memorial Day special if you act now. Just kidding. Just kidding. On that note, that's what's on my mind.
I wish it wasn't on my mind now.
That's what I'm here for.